sister.
We know Grandma.
You were telling Miss about going to the meetings.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that?
Well,
Where'd they have them and so forth?
they were at the old lumber yard. It's not there anymore. Do you remember where it was?
Yeah.
Down from the right there at the Chronicle Mill,
Right there at
on
the
the side beside the Chronicle
Yeah.
Mill. I went with my grandmother. That the only reason I went, I guess, because the only place to go, everybody went. Just about the whole town, everyone was there, because it was the thing to go and check and find out what's going on, I guess.
Do you remember any of the men who were there, or people who spoke?
The only one that I can remember was the one you're talking about, Red. I can remember him.
Red Lisk.
Red Lisk, yeah. I didn't know his last name, but I just heard them men calling him Red. The kids, all the kids went there, all the grown people, everyone. That was a big thing to do, to go up there.
Did they have music?
Not that I can remember. Do you remember? I don't remember music. It could have been, but I don't remember it.
They had built a platform to stand on.
They had a big high platform up there, and had all the speakers sitting up there. They were 5 or 6 men sitting up there. And each one of them would get up and talk a few minutes, and then the other one would get up and talk.
Was there much talk about the Union other than at the meeting? What about in your house?
No, I never heard my father say a thing about a Union in their house.
Do you remember talk about the Union in your house?
Not. That's all I talked about.
What did they say?
Oh.
What did they say about the Union?
Oh, that's so mad. Everybody had joined.
Yeah, I see.
They had joined. If they didn't, they couldn't get to work.
I see.
Yeah. They had joined the Union. If they didn't join the Union, they didn't have no job. No. No.
I'm trying
They had to join it.
I'm trying to put that together because it didn't have a closed shop at the time.
It doesn't. No, that doesn't. That's not. That doesn't sound right.
Maybe she means that
No.
they would have kept that the people wouldn't have let them go to work, lock them out.
They locked them. Yeah, they would. The companies didn't want the union. They fought the union. They fought the union. That's why they had to strike and why they locked the people out. Why they had to go to pick up these groceries.
What happened to those people who led the Union afterwards?
I really have no idea what happened to those people.
Did you remember people having to leave their houses?
No, but I remember the big bringing in the National Guard at the hosiery mill, and the man got killed on the Majestic there, because we lived right below the hosiery mill, and that's where I stayed all the time, up there watching the National Guard. I remember that.
What do you remember about it?
Well, I remember them chasing this man over on that porch and killing him. And who was it? Old man Robinson? They stabbed in the hip with a bayonet. And J.C. Bumgarner, he tried to go in the mill, and the people jumped him and almost beat him to death, trying to keep him out of there. You know, he was going to cross the line and go in and work. The people wouldn't let him.
I remember a man was taking a gun away from another man. Now, one man run up on the porch and run the house at East End. Down the East End, right before you turn to go down to y'all's house for usually.
On the Keesler's front porch.
Judy?
Keesler's porch? Well, the Keeslers live near me now. Paul Keesler?
Well, this was, I can't remember his name.
Riley.
The man who was killed was Riley.
Riley was, and Mr. Robinson was a big old heavy-set older guy, and he couldn't run fast enough. He was agitating the guards, and they went after him, and one of them got him. Junior Keesler, I don't know what that's the same one you're talking about or not. I can't think of his father's name. They called him Fat Keesler. That's the only thing I remember about him.
Well, I think he might have been Paul's father, because Paul lives near me.
As you go up 6th Street, right at the end of 6th Street, that first house was a house there. They're not there anymore. It was a rough time back then. It was a rough time back then.
Now, the mystery to me is that the papers were full of this at the time. You get big headlines and details about all the meetings and so forth. And then we come back 60 years later, and it's almost as though all the people who were involved have just kind of vanished.
Disappeared.
And none of this history is being
Recorded.
kept. So one of the things what we're trying to do is to tell that story. The story of the workers in the mills. You know, you go to most museums and you get the presidents of the mills and you get the big houses and all of that. But you don't, you know, like over at Kannapolis where you've got
Cannon.
Cannons,
Well, they're not cannon now,
Yeah.
are they?
but you don't see anything about the people around the machinery. So we're trying to tell that story.
I mean, at times, the old Cannon Village in Kannapolis seems like it's an e-ticket ride at Disneyland or Carowinds. You know, and they don't want you to know what it's like up on the hill for real.
No, it was rough. They call it the good old days. It wasn't the good old days.
It wasn't no good old
No good old days.
hard days.
Rough, hard days.
Yeah.
You didn't realize it though.
No,
At
we.
the time you didn't realize it. You was happy.
I know, we didn't know we were poor, did we?
No,
or
we
anything?
didn't. I thought I had everything that I needed. I never wanted for anything.
Well, so we're going to try to find your sister.
Jack Garrett will probably remember a lot.
Okay, well let's
He
go
could
see.
probably tell you a
Let's
lot.
go see if we can find him.
My sister,
Yes.
she lives in Belmont. You know where you go cross the river?
Mama let Thurman tell
River.
me.
Yeah.
Or you
going
turn right
back
out to the first
74?
house, like
Okay.
you're going up our
Then
first
maybe to
house, and you
Everfall.
just
Yeah.
burn around. And she lives
Come off of
like
74.
burn around. She
You know
lives
the
on
new
left
road.
side.
They got a big
Like you
curve
turn
there.
to go up
They
the
live in
other
one of
way.
those little
She
teeny
lives
houses right
there.
off
Yeah.
down to 64.
That's her house.
Maybe she could say.
Jack
One of
Garrett.
our
Jack
neighbors
Garrett's her
Lives
husband's
in
name.
next to the last house.
Okay, how do you get to
and
her house?
Atkins lives
Well,
in
you
that
know, there's an
last
old
You go
house
across
there that
the
no one
river,
lives
you
in.
know.
Well,
Then
they
you
live
like you
beside
going
it.
into Belmont.
Those two
You
old
you make a
houses.
turn there. On the left. No. Yeah, on the left. And she lives right there now. This you like you going up the turn and go up that way. She lives right there. Where you make that turn. Anybody can tell you where she lived at.
Okay, we'll try.
We're gonna give her a
see the
call.
call.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna give her a call, right?
Judy,
Yeah.
let's get 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Sure.
she can give you a phone.
Okay. Room tone 1002.
Okay.
Jack is older than me. He probably. Oh,
Yeah, that's my sister. And that's her oldest.
shh, come on there.
Okay, cup down.
My daddy, they had pictures downstairs. Yeah, that's my mother. She's the sweetest woman ever lived. Hardest working woman. My daddy was too.
Get on.
They sure raised us that
It's a
way.
bad habit.
You think I look like her?
Not really.
I would reckon, maybe. She was a good-looking woman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's a good woman.
Did she ever work in the mill?
No, my daddy said when we moved, he said he wasn't gonna let her work. She had enough to do at the house. My daddy said she gonna stay at the house. She had enough to do at the house. My daddy took care of her.
How many children did they have?
7. We had 7.
That was enough to keep her going.
Yeah.
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 How many of the 7 worked in the mill?
Well, let's see.
All of them.
Oh, I guess we all were.
All of them worked in the mill at one time, yes.
Oh, but Margaret didn't work when she's
Margaret
left.
worked in the mill
Margaret
time
didn't
long.
work.
She
didn't
just
work. She didn't
retired
work.
not long ago. Margaret worked in the mill?
Oh, yeah, but not when she was little.
No, but he wants to know how many worked all the time, not just when they were little.
Yeah.
But that brought in a fair amount of money.
Yeah. We didn't make much from the work.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
make a
No what?
Now, what I'm trying to figure out is your mother stayed home and looked after you.
Yeah, that's right.
But a lot of the mills, both the father and the mother worked.
Yeah, most of them. But my daddy said my mama wasn't going to work. She had enough to do at home. She raised 7 youngers.
Did you have a garden?
Oh, no. We did when we lived out in the country. A big garden. And my daddy, we had kept a cow. And we had hogs. In the wintertime, we had lots of hogs to kill. And we kept a cow all the time. You know, we had milk and butter all the time. And we raised stuff to eat out of the garden.
Do you know why they moved out of the country into the mills?
Well, my daddy, my oldest brother, Lee, he wanted to move there. And he wanted to go to work. And that's how come we moved to the cotton mill. We moved to the cotton mill, so we all went to work. Everyone was big enough to work, worked. But my daddy said my mama wasn't going to work. No cotton mill.
She went to work in Clover, South Carolina, the first cotton mill, wasn't it? Before they came to Belmont.
My mama had enough to do at the house. And my mama and daddy was a great, good person. Really, my grandma and grandpa was too.
Did they ever regret being in the mills?
Yeah, they was old when we moved to the mill. But my daddy worked, but my mama didn't. My mama stayed home. Well, she kept boarders a lot, you know. People's come out to eat. Dinner and lunch, supper. Kept them. But Mama worked her dad, and Mama was a nice housekeeper. Real nice housekeeper.
Did they ever try to move back to the farm?
No, we never did move back to the farm.
Did you?
My daddy died when he wasn't too old.
I see.
And we never did move back there. And my mother stayed around with the youngins after he passed away.
Okay.
We're
Good.
gonna make that phone call. Betty, can you sit down where you were before?
I'll tell you, one of y'all could probably explain it to her better than I can.
Well, Betty will explain.
Better would do it.
Let,
Honey, just tell her that Betty's
Let
here
Betty.
and at our house, and they talked to Mom.
825 8169 8169.
Thurman, tell her that I live below Julius.
Who's speaking, please? Margaret? This is Thurman. We have some people over here that want to come see you. And I'll let this lady explain to you what it's all about. Okay?
Margaret, I'm Betty Hinson that lived below Julius Engel. Do you remember
You
us?
have to talk loud, she can't hear you.
That lived below Julius. Hinson. Yeah, my parents, Floyd Miller and Kitty, they used to live below Julius, you know. And then I lived below my mother. And we're wanting to come to your house. There's some people here, down here from New York, and they're making a documentary, you know, about the textile industry. And they'd like to talk with some of the older people. Could we come by your house tonight? This evening? Wait a minute. What time will
We can go right over there now.
We can leave now and come over there.
Yeah, she's a good woman.
She's asking her husband.
You might tell her that we have a picture of her from 1934.
Jack's so funny, you might think it's
No, I'll talk to him if he says no. I'll talk, 'cause he's funny.
We can come.
Tell her we got a picture.
Yeah, you go ahead and finish your supper, and it'll be about 45 minutes before we get there. And they've got a picture of you, Margaret. Yeah, way back in 1934, and you were
8 months old. The baby.
you was holding your baby. What was
Douglas.
Douglas?
And he looks to be about 8 months old.
When he was about 8 months old.
And he's sweet.
They found it in the archives somewhere. They're going to bring it and show it to you. Okay, we'll see you in about 45 minutes or an hour.
I can't,
All right,
Really?
bye.
trying to figure out some of these in
She
the
said you
background.
could. If she said
I
no, I
want you
would
to meet
have
my
asked.
sister. She's a great girl.
And
Good.
that's clear enough to
Thank you.
really figure out who they
I
are.
had to talk loud because she doesn't hear well.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta thank you.
I love that kid. I was just a little thing. I took care of him all the time. Little bitty thing. He's so pretty.
What'd you
Yeah.
say his name is?
Douglas.
Yeah, okay.
He's so cute. He's still bald headed.
Did she say
No
something?
ball jokes.
She's a good girl.
Yeah.
But he's beautiful. You know, most all bald headed men's better looking, aren't they? Can't
Well, repeat
No,
that.
no ball jokes.
No,
Repeat
I-
that.
I can do all kinds of interesting things with this
Y'all
camera.
want something to drink?
Don't do it.
No thanks.
Isn't that sweet? Though I can't get over looking at her. I wish she could have some made off of this. Or
We
you-
will
Will you
get.
send us one of these,
Yeah, I'm
and I'll
sorry.
pay you.
You see, no, we tried to get it just Xerox, and see, it didn't turn out very well. So we can get a print.
Oh, thank
Yeah, we can
you.
get
Send
it
it to me,
Where'd
and
you
I'll
get
have
that
Aunt Margaret.
Had you
I'll
ever heard
have her
about
one.
this?
No,
Had you ever heard about this strike and that they were involved?
We know
Oh,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
because, but we didn't know she was involved or nothing.
My goodness.
Oh, you knew they were involved.
I didn't.
No.
Oh no. I
Okay.
Sure didn't.
We'll go and find out.
Well, they didn't talk about it, did they, Thurman?
It's good to meet
I mean,
y'all.
when it was over with, it was over.
Really
When
good
we
to
all
meet
left,
y'all.
it
Have
was,
you got
that
my
was it.
address so you could send me this picture, and I'll have Aunt Margaret and everyone
Okay.
I made.
Look, what we better do is just get the forms, so we'll have everybody's name and address and phone number and so forth.
Okay.
Judy, tell me where it is.
Go.
It's in the car. One thing, George, wait, you were just saying that when it was over, it was just over?
Yep, they all just disappeared. We don't know
Went back
where they
to
went.
work and
I
People
never
just
talked about it
didn't
at
talk
all.
about it or nothing after
We've
that.
heard of some people that like took off back to the mountains, and some other people changed names and went to other mills and tried to get work. And we've
I
had
never
some
heard
people-
of any of that around where we were. Did you hear of anything like that? No.
Well, they were there. They was still there. It's so cute.
Okay, we'll go get.
Yeah, God bless you.
I really love Julius.
Did you?
Yes, I
really love
did.
Joe. He's a good man.
I know it.
He was a real good man.
He used to go
My
check
brother-
on my
my-
aunt.
My brother Lee. And you ever meet Lee?
Yeah,
Oh,
she told
yeah, I
you
knew
one
Lee.
time. Grandma.
And George?
Lee had tuberculosis one
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember
you,
that.
And you remember my mama?
No, I don't remember you, Mama. I remember Lonnie.
That's her picture. Lonnie's passed away. She
Yeah.
lived in California.
I knew
and
that.
she was going to the doctor's office, the doctor, and she fell dead in the doctor's office.
Well,
And she walked in the door. They was living in California.
And you see, Fred, I think Fred was related to my stepfather.
Was it?
Her husband.
And Lonnie died. It wasn't too long till Fred died.
Well,
Fred come down here after Lonnie died, didn't he? And
I
so-
don't know,
yeah,
Grandma. I
he
didn't
come
see
down
him.
to
he
see
come to
I
see
were in-
my
I was in
grandpa one
Jersey at
time.
that
My
time.
grandpa
Fred
was old,
See,
Yeah.
everybody's thinking about
and
it.
he had to get right up in his face so Grandpa could see him.
Yeah.
And he said, Uncle Ab said, "Do you know who I am?" And
Fred said that.
Yeah. And Grandpa said, "Well, you look like a heifer." You know, his forehead come out.
Yeah, it did.
And you know what they called him?
Booger nose. Booger nose there.
Booger Nose Airwood.
I don't think we need that on
That's
tape.
what they called
Could you point out the picture of your sister? You said you have a picture of her.
That's her back there with the blue.
That's
This
where
one?
you're going.
This one here?
Yeah, why don't you just show? No, don't take it. Maybe this gentleman could show her.
That's
Yeah,
that's Margaret, Jack and Margaret. Yeah.
yeah, Margaret. That's my sister.
That's
And her
Grandma's youngest
husband.
sister.
Where you going today?
Was their
Where you
daughter
going
Catherine
today? That's where
Garrett?
you're going today.
No, Joyce Ann.
Can you say that again? Who's that in that picture?
Yeah, that house. That's where y'all going. To their house.
And who is
Margaret Jackson.
Margaret and
Yeah.
James?
That's my sister and her husband. That's where y'all going. They good people.
That's the lady in the picture. The lady in the picture.
Yeah. But she don't look like that. She's heavier built.
Judy,
Yeah.
Not too much, is she?
squat.
What squat?
Your reflections.
Not too much.
And you never heard about that before, huh?
Mm-mm. No. Well, see, I was only 10-year-old at the time. But I remember it. But I don't remember a lot that I should.
Well, Daddy took me down there where they had the platform and they had the speakers and everything. But see, I don't remember it. But one of my friends remembers that we went, and she did tell me that Daddy, had a car. He had it was a Ford, and it had a rumble seat and a canvas top. What was that? A sport?
It was
kind
probably
of
an A model sports
Yeah,
sports
uh-huh,
car in the
yeah.
A model line.
Yeah, with
Do you want
the
to get a colorated?
She said that, who was that?
I did that when
My
I was
little
over at Children's.
grandyoungin.
What I have here are a series of letters that people wrote who lived in your mill, the Imperial Mill, complaining of conditions,
Bad working conditions.
bad working conditions. Here's one by Mr. G.P. Knight.
What year?
This was in 1933, August the 17th. And he's writing to Hugh Johnson, who was in charge of the NRA, the Blue Eagle. Johnson had been on the radio saying that people, if they didn't think their mill was living up to the agreement, should write him. And so this fellow wrote saying, I work in the Imperial Mill at Belmont, and they fired me because I won't run 2 jobs and work all day the way they want me to. He said that they were speeding up the machines.
All the time. More speed.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, now, when did that start, do you know?
Probably when they started the 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were trying to get the same production in the 8 hours that they were getting in the 12 hours.
And here's another thing. That's the way, you see, he wrote it on a tablet like that, you see? And we just have a Xerox of that. The National Archives keeps all these records, and so we can kind of look back and see what happened.
The next one is typed.
Here is one from August the 16th, and it's, you see, it's in his handwriting again. And then
This the same man
this is no,
or a different person?
this is, see if I can find out who this one is, because I don't see a signature on here. Oh yes, here it is. Wait a minute. Very interesting here. He says, not very many will belong to the union in this mill, for they are scared to join.
Everyone was scared of losing their jobs.
They're afraid they will lose, they'll be thrown out of their jobs. And we would like very much for you to look into this mill. It's the Imperial Mill in Belmont. Yours truly. And then he didn't sign his name. He evidently was afraid.
Well, there was 2 of the mills that went union, but they never could get a contract. That wasn't back then. This was a whole lot long later.
Yeah.
This was in the 50s, I think, or the 60s even.
Now here's one that was in December. Mr. Ira Wintz, W-I-N-T-Z. Remember him?
Remember him?
Tell me about
I sure
him.
do. I just remember the name and the man, his face. I don't remember just talking to him or anything like that. But
How old was you, honey?
I was just a kid.
Well, now Mr.
See,
Wintz.
back then they had baseball teams. Each mill had a baseball team, and all the people would come to them, and that's where you would meet a lot of people. And I remember him, I guess, from the baseball.
Well, now, Mr. Wentz, in December the 4th, 1933, says they have an unlawful stretch-out system. 2 men doing the jobs that should be for one. And so he was writing to the Textile Labor Board.
It was usually the other way around, taking 2-man job, putting 1 man on it.
Well, maybe that's
stretching
what
out. That's probably what he was meaning.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
And here's another one. That's August 34, and it's written to Mr. Roosevelt.
The president.
You see, what happened was that Roosevelt got on the radio, and he said he encouraged people to write him, and thousands and thousands of textile workers did. It says, we have to work so hard in this mill in Belmont that we don't have time to stop and eat our lunch, and if we do, our work just tears up all to pieces, and they make us leave.
Mm-hmm.
You see, again, it's in his handwriting here, and again, he didn't sign his name. Then here we have February the 19th, 1934, a whole series of complaints that ended up in a new board, a new thing. This now is much more formal. So it was probably after they formed a union, and the union helped to prepare these things.
No, George. They typed it so that they'd understand it better. They took the letter and it was just retyped.
They didn't. None of the mills back then never did go union. The people were scared.
That's typed by the Archives for Legibility.
I
It was
see.
typed by George Sloan's office.
Uh-huh.
But you were saying before, when at the end, George, find the one where it says that they were afraid to join.
Okay.
It was typed also. I think it's
No, it's not. No. Here we have one from July the 25th, 1934, and also from the Imperial Mill to Mr. Johnson, and it's saying I have to go in from 1 to 2 hours before the work time to get our cleaning up. It's because they've speeded up the machinery so much, we don't have time to do it.
In other words, they had to go do the cleaning. They're cleaning on their own time. They didn't get paid for it.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, they get paid for it.
Yes.
And again, he's not signing his name. And then you see the office, the government office, just reduces a complaint to saying we have to go in 1 to 2 hours before work time to get our cleaning done. They're speeded up so high it works us from the time we go on until we stop off. Then here's another one, September the 5th, 1934. That's after the strike began. Again, it's the same thing. The people are not supposed to go to work until 1:30, and we have to go in at 11 o'clock to get our cleaning done. So evidently that complaint kept going.
Same thing. Yeah.
Read the end of it. It talks about the union people. No, on the type part, you could read it.
Okay. Now we have to work so hard in this mill that we do not get time to stop and eat our lunch, and if we do, our work just tears all to pieces. And then down at the end it says, "Not very many that belong to the union in this mill, for they are scared to join. They're afraid they will lose their jobs."
That's true. People were, even after, not just back then, all the way through them, even to the day, they're the same thing. They work them like that right today. They don't have time to stop. Some of them, if they do, their job gets so messed up they can't catch it back up.
Now, what has been your experience? Have you?
Well, the mill that I worked in, it wasn't really that hard. I went to work in 1940 at the Crescent, learning the Doss spinning, and it wasn't really that hard. But the spinners now, it was hard on them, and they kept.
But they wouldn't work us a full shift.
No, well, that's because you were underage. I mean, you were only 16, and you couldn't work until you were 18 until you work a full shift. But a boy could work a full shift.
You were
That
saying
was the law. That was the law.
you were saying you went to New Jersey and you joined a union.
Yeah. And that was the best 12 years of my life up there. I was best working conditions that I've ever worked in, me and my wife both. Because if you get in a hole up there, you shut it down until someone helps you straighten it out.
What union was that?
The Printer and Publishers Union.
And a Teamster Union.
Yeah,
Why
part
do-
of it was.
Why
part
do
of it
you
was-
think that they couldn't get the union going down here?
The people were scared to lose their jobs. See, most of them lived in the mill houses. And if they lost their job, they had to move. They had no way of making a living.
Now, some people tell us that Southern people just don't like unions.
That's because of what the trouble when they tried to form that first union. That killed it from then on.
You don't think it's just the nature, our nature?
No, it's just that you can't lead Southern people. They won't follow. They won't follow you. See, up there, it was compulsory that I joined the unions.
I see.
And, but I would have joined it anyhow.
Yeah.
But down here, people just won't give in to the
Yeah,
union. Just like still today, they won't do it. But it's the best thing in the world if they would.
Yeah.
My son works for this trucking that makes the trucks over here next to Mount Holly. They just walked out, had a strike. They got what they wanted.
And he loves his job.
Better working conditions, more money, better
Yeah.
benefits, and everything
Yeah.
under a union.
Yeah.
Now I work for Rexham Corporation. They have a union in all the other plants. They don't have one here, but they pay you, have a union, pay union scale, and go with the union rules and everything. So I didn't need a union there.
Mhm.
But they tried to vote a union in. No way, it wouldn't go.
Now,
They fair.
one of the things that we've been interested in is the attitude of people towards the employers here.
They were some rough ones, and they were some good ones.
Yeah.
You had some good boss men, and then you had some that would work you to death and laugh at you doing it.
Now, in the mill villages, in the mill village where you lived, was there any attempt to control the behavior of the people?
Not really. No, most people did their own thing. Not really.
In some villages, we've been told people couldn't drink or that kind of thing.
I've never heard of that. Have you, hon?
No. Well, most
People-
back then they hardly drank anything.
Well, the only thing they had was homebrew. Had to make their own, didn't they? Betty, they had to make their own back then, didn't they?
They drank and had fights on Saturday night. And I remember that Daddy was the only person that had a car on the Mill Village at that time. And one guy almost got his nose cut off. You remember the Stricklands?
Yeah. Pee-wee and
Pee-wee
Boo.
is the one who
Pee-wee was
cut.
the knife man. Yeah, we used to fight chickens with him.
He
Me and
cut
our daddy.
a guy, and they brought him down there, and Daddy took him somewhere to get his nose sewed back up one Saturday night. They'd been drinking and fighting.
They were
He
mostly
was a Chestine, or a Chestine.
Charlie Chestine. Yeah, I remember that.
And
yeah.
Pee-wee Strickland.
Yeah, I remember that.
And,
Charlie Chestine.
you know, Pee-wee died in prison.
Yeah. I think Mood did too. The one who lived up at Acme, his older brother. Yeah, I remember all those people.
They were rough characters.
But they never do. If you disturb the people like a fight like that, maybe when you go back to work, they would call you in the office and talk to you. They'd tell you they didn't want it or something like that. But they weren't no rules that you couldn't. Because I was telling Betty about Rush Hardin's brother Jim lived below us. He come in drunk all the time.
Yeah.
And I had a little brown faced dog, and she showed her teeth all the time. And she sat down there at his house sometime. And one day he come in drunk out of the woods, and he told his wife, said, "Angie, I gotta quit drinking." Said, "Even the dogs are laughing at me."
That was Wash's brother, Jim.
Jim Hardy.
Yeah. So you knew Pee Wee
Yeah,
and moved.
moved. Yeah, yeah.
One thing. Now, when George was reading some of that, I guess it wasn't where was you said your uncle was a supervisor and they were probably talking about him.
Yeah, at the Imperial, my Uncle George Tyser, he was a supervisor over, I think, when Grandma worked there at one time.
Was he one of the rough ones?
Well, to me, he wasn't when I worked for him. I worked for him a lot of times,
Yeah.
a couple times. When
Yeah.
I need a job, I'd go to work for him. And he'd even come after me to work overtime for him and all of that.
Yeah.
But to some people, they said he was a rough
Yeah.
overseer.
Yeah.
But to me, he wasn't that bad.
What about working conditions in the mill?
They weren't that really too bad. They just push you. You had to get production. That's all they kept wanting you to get.
Yeah.
Production.
Did you remember anything called a Beto system?
Not really.
Didn't it had to do with the way they set the picker clocks and all of that?
I was out in the other end. I wasn't out in the card room, but
Yeah.
I had never heard of
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, this is
Nice.
great.
I'm gonna hit bars. We're gonna roll tone.
Okay.
Okay.
This is room tone 1003 for the kitchen location. Put it back up about where you had it. And look. Cut.
woman of 91 who said that she started working in the mills at 8.
Well, my mother went to work in the mill at 8, and she told us about having to climb on the spinning frames, and she'd slip off and hide in the boxes, and they'd come wake her up. And she never did have anything real bad to say about it. I think it was just kind of something that they did. Wasn't anything unusual.
What shift did you work on?
She was on the night shift.
Where was that?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think it was Clover or somewhere. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But
how long did she work in the mill?
Well, she worked in the mill all her life till she retired, but she did a lot of other things too, you know. But she always enjoyed her job, you know, and worked hard. And during World War II, which you never heard tell of a woman being a fixer, well, she turned out to be a fixer in the plant and did a good job. Really did.
And after the war, what happened to her?
Well, she went back to another job, you know. They was heavy fixing. It needed a lot of help and things, you know.
What about you?
Me? Well, I went to work when I was 14, worked all summer learning. They didn't pay me a dime. And then I went back to school, which would be the 9th grade. And I had, when Mother got, everything was bad, and when Mother got me a job at Christmas, well, I dropped out of school and went to work, and I worked all my life till I retired.
When did you go to work? Do you remember the year?
Well, it must have been a 32 or 33. I can't remember just exactly which one it was. Anywhere, worked 12 hours a day for $7.20 a week.
You remember when Roosevelt came in?
Oh, yes.
What happened then?
Well, everybody was rejoicing, you know. We was just in seventh heaven. And after that, well, they wouldn't let the ladies work on the 3rd shift. So they got all men in there. But the men wouldn't do the winding and spooling. It took constant going, you know. So they had to do something else. They just wouldn't do like the ladies done, just stay with it. Oh, so
you remember about 34? There was a big organization around here. Do you remember anything about that?
Well, yes, I remember it, but I didn't have any part in it at all. I just remember them coming up to close down the plant, and I followed them all over town trying to figure out what was going on. And it was hot, real hot, and I got back in the middle of the day just burning up and still didn't know what was going on.
Did you remember the Labor? Did you ever go to the Labor Day parade?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember it.
They had big Labor Day parades over in Gastonia.
Well, I didn't take any part in any of that at all. I was just, after I done my walk, I think I give it up.
But Claude here did, didn't he?
Did you? You weren't married then, were you?
Well, I got married long about that time, and we moved down below Burlington to Saxapaw, where there's a working full time, so we went to work down there. That's one reason probably that I don't remember more about it than I do.
And you were married to Claude at the time?
No, this is our second marriage. Yeah.
You know, we've seen, I'm going to get personal now. We've seen so many second marriages in this trip, and they all seem to have turned out so well.
Well, I tell you, I was a widow 13 years, and I've certainly enjoyed company and some fellowship and places to go, and I don't mean it's been a heaven, but because I have to whip him every once in a while, but.
That's just saying that she married an angel.
But to me, that just, as I say, we've been traveling for 3 years doing this, you know, in different places in the summer. And over again, it's those second marriages that are so close. And
yeah, well, you appreciate what you lost, you know, and you try to build on that. Yeah. And you have to, you know. And it's not all going to be good, but you just do the best you can and keep looking forward.
Well, that's nice. Well, we're going to be going. Claude's going to show us where he grew up.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I didn't dream I was going to get on all that.
Do you mind, Claude, if we rode in your car?
No.
Okay. Good.
I would have put on some lipstick.
Oh, you look fine. You have that fresh, washed look.
I need to get the keys out.
We have been finding that there's so many two-income families at the time, you see, when we've been working on this thing. And back in the 30s and early 40s, women working in the mills, men working in the mills, and who looked after the kids? Very often it was a father, where the mother was on the shift, and the mother with the father on the shift, because there was almost no babysitters. How did it work in your family?
Well, when my daughter was small, I worked on the first shift, and my husband worked on the second shift. And he would fix lunch and bring my daughter to the plant and wait outside with her, and I'd come out and get her and take her home. So we didn't have to have a babysitter. We were fortunate in that respect. Some people didn't have that.
Was that usual for most people?
Well, I don't remember too many bringing them to the plant, you know, but they did. It tried to work in the family, I'll put it that way, because we didn't have daycares. And you had to have somebody, a neighbor or somebody, to help you a little bit.
What about nursing mothers? What did they do?
I don't remember. I just don't remember about that. I was one, but I don't remember how we worked, did I? Well, you just took everything for granted, and you didn't really. But I don't remember any problem.
Did they bring the baby to you at the mill to nurse?
I don't remember doing that. I really don't.
We've had some people at certain mills tell us that the supervisors or the mill said it was okay for someone to bring the child to them so they could nurse it, but the baby couldn't be in the mill all day. So they would give them maybe 20 minutes twice a day to do it.
Well, I didn't have that experience, and I just don't remember, you know, how that worked. I hadn't thought about it in so long. She's 55, so I hadn't thought about it.
You were talking about when Roosevelt came in.
Yeah.
And the hours dropped from 11, 12 to 8.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Well, it felt real good because, you know, we wasn't used to having all that spare time in the afternoon, and we were used to walking a long ways from 12 o'clock and eating and getting back at 1 because you didn't have the things that you have now in the plants. And